Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Men for Life podcast. I'm Sean Corcoran, the CEO of Men for Life. Today, I am very excited to be joined by my good friend, Steventhen Holland. Steventhen, how are you today?
I'm good, man. I know that's a mouthful, that name.
Every freaking time. It doesn't matter how many times we see each other. Anytime that
I know.
I hit record and I try to introduce you, I just stop at Steven. I'm
It's
actually
a
going to dinner with a friend named Steven today, so maybe that's my excuse.
well,
So here's what's really cool about what we're going to talk about today. You know, last week Andrew Wood and I in the Into the Arena podcast talked about pregnancy centers and how pregnancy centers are really the lifeblood of the pro-life movement.
mhm.
We got into only about half of what we wanted to get into. Today, as this is released, we're also releasing the second part of that conversation, talking about the actual services provided by pregnancy centers throughout the United States. And, you know, Steventhen is here today because you are doing something really special for all of those staff, directors, workers, volunteers at the pregnancy centers, because we recognize, you know, in our roles in the pro-life movement, how hard they work, the intensity of what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. You know, not every conversation is successful, and they have to take that home with them when it's not successful. Just like they get the joys every time a baby is saved, you know, they still feel that anytime a young mother walks away and doesn't choose life, or as far as they know, doesn't choose life with them. And so, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of heart that goes into that. And so you have created, you know, an opportunity to really serve the directors and staff and volunteers of pregnancy centers. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So with that, I'm just going to let you kind of introduce the project you're working on and how that's going to benefit the pregnancy center workers.
Yeah. Well, Sean, thank you, man. I so appreciate your friendship. Andrew's a great friend too, and actually, Andrew's a part of this leadership initiative as well. But really, for me, just to share my heart, I've been blessed to be able to speak nationally since 2018. I started speaking nationally, partnering with pregnancy resource centers a lot with their fundraising events, but you know, also leading worship and doing other events. But my heart is I've always been a minister. I was a youth pastor and worship leader before what I do today, and I still do all those things. But as I approach the work that I get to do with them, it's from that ministerial heart and that pastoral heart. And as I'm going in, and I fly in the day before, if at all possible, I'm doing dinner with the staff and building relationships. I'm just seeing the same pattern. You know, it's been over 200 pregnancy resource centers I've been blessed to be a part of, and they need to rest. They need a space to just step away from everything you just said, that heaviness that they carry. And unless you've been, and I'm going to say it is a blessing, but unless you've been blessed to be able to walk into that space and actually do life with them and come alongside of them, you may never know the heaviness that they carry. You know, and there's even, and praise God, I mean, there's beautiful people in every communities that are loving on them. They're financially supporting and you know, bringing them lunches and caring for them. But there's even heavy stuff, like you said, that nobody may even know about, and they carry home. And it just started weighing on me, man, just a heavy weight. So I started looking like 2 years ago, is there anything out there? Because I'm a firm believer in networking. I think this right here, you know, being on Men for Life, and you know I believe in you and 100% behind what you guys do. Huge supporter, and we work. You know, we work together. We support each other, and I didn't want to start something, you know, that already existed. If there's something already out there, let's team up. You know, let's do it. And as I did research, there just isn't anything on a national level where we're pooling resources and really providing specifically around just resting. Right. And like a spiritual and emotional and physical space to rest. Now, just to honor there are some individual, you know, we have some great friends, probably some mutual friends that, you know, maybe have authored books and things like that offer something individually. And they're doing those with like private groups, but on an organizational level, it just wasn't out there. So over the summer, Andrew Wood, myself, Denisha Workshire, and Lauren Eden, it's three friends of mine, which obviously you and Andrew do your thing together, which I love. And but they kind of jumped in and saw the vision with me, and we together as a team, not just me, as a team, we launched We See You retreats in August at the CareNet conference. And again, the heart behind that, I want to read it because I don't want to mess it up, because I think it was beautifully written. But ministry can be deeply fulfilling, but also deeply draining, right? When the needs are endless and the mission is urgent, even the most passionate teams can be left running on empty. Between constant demands, packed calendars, and the relentless pressure to pour out for others, it's easy to feel depleted, disconnected, and caught in survival mode. And I love this. Jesus never called us to hustle for him, right?
That's right.
He calls us to abide in him. So if you're weary, you're stretched thin, you're always looking towards the next thing, it may be time to step away so you can step back in refreshed. Or I like to step back into the battle, ready to fight. I think about, frontline warriors, even in the military, they don't keep the front line on the front line forever. They have to rest. They have to restore. They have to, be, so they can be equipped to be the best warriors they could be. So this retreat, man, this We See You retreats, we see you. We see that heaviness. So we want to give you an opportunity just to pause. And this retreat is designed to do just that. So I'm passionate, man, about this. I think it's just something that's so needed. And so that's where it started.
I love that. So, when we talk about rest, I think that it's something that we miss a lot. We talk about Sabbath. So just to give you a background, I am Catholic, but I am this weird Catholic who gets up and goes to mass with my family every Sunday, comes home, puts on YouTube and watches Pastor Joby Martin preach, from the Bible,
Right.
and it's not because I'm not getting what I want out of my Catholic faith. It's because I want more, right? I want more than that, and I want to really dive into the Bible and hear it. And what he is preaching to is he's preaching a lot of times messages to men and masculinity, and so it falls into what I do, and it helps me when I go. I'm doing a next month a Baptist men's conference, and if I don't know, if I show up there and I say, "Hey, I'm Catholic, I don't know the Bible," they're going to be like, "Get off." Like, get out of here, right?
Get off the stage.
So it's important to me in what I do to serve the people that I serve, to get the word in as many places as I can. But anyway, one of the things that he pointed out that I'd never heard before is when he talks about the Sabbath, and he points it out this way. And I actually read it this morning when I was in church from my notes. And what he talks about is that on the sixth day, God created man, right? God created man. He gave him work. He gave him a will to obey, and he gave him a woman to love. That's on the sixth day. He hadn't done anything yet, and on the seventh day, God said, rest. A lot of times we think about the Sabbath and think about resting in terms of we built ourselves to a point of exhaustion, and so now we have to rest. And what he pointed out in this sermon when he talks about this is that Sabbath, that rest, is so that we are renewed and rejuvenated for the next work, right? We're resting so that we have the energy and we have the ability to move forward to the next day, right? Mm-hmm. To the next week, when we're talking about the Sabbath. And so, that what you were talking about reminded me of that because it's not just about, man, this is a lot, and I'm dealing with a lot and I really need to get a break, right? It's not a vacation. It's an opportunity to renew, to restore, which I know you have different parts of the retreat, and one of them is to renew, one of them is to restore.
Yeah, the release was the first one. So release, restore, renew, right?
And then you dive right back into it, because when you leave this retreat, like, you're going back, right? And a lot of times we're going back into the lion's den in the work that we do. We're going back to fight evil. We're in a spiritual battle. We're fighting evil. And so to get that rest, like you said, for the purpose of renewing our soul and renewing our body and renewing our mind so that we can go right back into that work, I think is incredibly important.
It is.
So tell us about the retreat.
Yeah. So, and just one, leading into that that question, I love Matthew 11:12. It says, "Come to me, all who are weary, all, and burden, and I will give you rest." Right? It's even that the command from the Lord, like He's the one that's going to give the rest. So, it's important that this is a spiritual, experience too, right? To come and pour in and let God renew. But so you ask about the retreat. So, the retreat that we have coming up February 5th through the 7th of this year, 2026, we're hosting it in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Really beautiful event, man. I'm excited about it. We put a lot of effort and time into this, but it's we're promoting it really to executive staff, so EDs, management level tier. But with that being said, it can benefit any pregnancy center worker that wants to come. We had actually did a lot of research and heard from a lot of centers, and they're like, we'd love to bring all, 100 of our staff or 12 of our staff, but we just can't afford to do that. So it was like, okay, well, we'll promote it to executive teams. But I think that's important. We've had a lot of people ask, like, can my men's director come? Right. Well, that's a director level position, right? So it really just depends on the center on who they wanted to send. But we have room for actually 100 attendees right now. We have 27. What's the day? Well, it's somewhere at the beginning of January. I don't know when this is going to drop, but we're taking our registration now is open. It'll stay open until we fill our spots. If we get 50, that'd be amazing. I think we have 27 as of today as we're doing this podcast. But man, it's just I'm excited because we're going to be on a riverboat, like a dinner cruise on the first night, a 2-hour dinner cruise. It's just going to be fellowship, and another beautiful thing is we've got directors and staff coming from actually all over the country, from the West. It's again hosted in the Southeast in Chattanooga, but we got people coming from Oregon and Arizona, and that's beautiful to me.
Yeah.
And so that there's just a camaraderie there, and I think just to be able to do life with people that understand what you go through, I think is going to be special, and I think even greater healing and understanding and where each person is coming in and what they're dealing with. I think that's important. I know for what we do, even you and I, Sean, with our friendship, it's like not everybody understands what it's like to run a nonprofit, right? Or to travel, have a travel life and be away from our families. And we can find brotherhood in that, where I can't do that with everybody. So, so I could talk for days, man, but we got the dinner cruise on Thursday night on the 5th. We actually have a church that we're partnering with. They're hosting us on day 2, and that'll be the bulk of where we really dig in with sessions on the release, renew, or release, renew, and restore, or restore and renew, right? And all 3 of those sessions will be on day 2. And then we're given the evening, man, just to explore Chattanooga. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to go to Chattanooga, Sean, but just it's a really cool, neat, on the river. You can walk on the river. There's great food scene. You're in the South, bro. I know you know that. And it just some beautiful things to do and explore. And then on day 3, we're actually our final session will be at the Tennessee Aquarium, which is one of the nicest aquariums in the country. We're doing our session like actually surrounded by the fish tanks, and we'll have brunch there. We'll end our last session, and then everybody in attendance actually gets a ticket to go to the aquarium, and I think it's open till like 5. So it's not a conference, right?
Right.
It is a retreat, but a little bit bougie, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just excited, and to be honest, that our real heart though. We're going to probably do, this is our first, we may do, we're praying through it, but we may do 4 of these events annually where it's more regional across the country. But the real heart is to actually take that experience, these retreats, to the local centers, right? To do either individual centers, or we've even had to say, could we team up with 3 or 4 centers in our, in our county or the city surrounding that we're connected with, or even doing statewide, right? Where we've had some come say, could we do this as a whole group with the state? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And several states now have like care networks, pregnancy care networks. Right. So you might be able to work with them. But I think the opportunity to go to Chattanooga, while I haven't been to Chattanooga, I'm very clear. You and I and Andrew and a couple other guys, Daniel Breeden with Tennessee Right to Life.
Yep.
I'm not just going to name everybody in case they see it and want to know why they didn't get named. But my intern, Nick Suttle, who is vice president of Turning Point at UT Knoxville.
Yep. Just right up the road.
Yeah. Pete DeMayo, Jamie Williams, and Marcus Lindell. We have a prayer group on Mondays, and you had mentioned how important it is for us to be able to have that community and be able to talk, because you're right. People don't always know what goes into running a nonprofit. The people who are watching this by and large will, but they don't know what goes into running a nonprofit. And the traveling is really hard. You have this weird feeling of, man, I really want to get home to see my kids, and I am so tired that if I go home right now, I cannot give them everything that they deserve. And trying to balance that when you're traveling so much. And so, there's this weird thing that kind of weighs on you, but the benefit that we have of being able to join together in community, talk about these things, talk about other things that are going on, and just have that brotherhood is really important. And, and when you were talking about that, it reminded me, and this will apply to the pregnancy center directors too, Ecclesiastes 4:9-12, which says, 2 are better than 1 because they have this is where I can't read my handwriting. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie together, they are warm, but how can one be warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, 2 will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was clumsy. My handwriting's horrible. But, I think that's really important, and that's what we're talking about, because we are in a spiritual war, right? Abortion is a spiritual war, and I think everyone who is listening to this is clear on it. And so we can agree. And so having that bond, with other people who are in it, with you. One of the things that we're doing with the Men for Life Fatherhood program is weekly Zoom meetings with the fatherhood coaches, where they can work with each other, talk about the things that are working, the things that are not working, and help to build each other up, because we're not meant to do this by ourselves. Right. I find a lot of ways to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make this meeting, but I will not miss that Monday morning meeting,
right?
Because I need that community and that brotherhood of people who understand what it is that I'm going through and who I'm comfortable sharing with, and can give me feedback so that I can have that renewal, right, and move into the rest of the week.
Well, and I think too, with these retreats, again, that's like what you guys are doing with those Zoom meetings and things. It's kind of the same premise, but let's take it up a notch to where we're actually, like for the pregnancy center workers, the EDs, really the whole staff, we get to remove ourselves from the actual physical location. I think that's important too,
Yes, 100%.
To where, that's it. Just there needs to be, because I've had some organizations say, well, we can just host one here, at our location, potentially to save cost or whatever it is. But yeah, that could save cost, but how much is it going to cost to not have as successful a retreat, because you're in the place where all the heavy is, right? If that right. makes sense. So actually changing the location, I think, is huge. But also too, I think, you were talking about the heaviness of us having to travel and doing the work that we do, running nonprofits. Most of the facilitators, we ourselves run nonprofits. we are in the work, even though we may not be on staff, we're interacting with, and we all have knowledge of that. But I think what really excites me too is we can take that burden off of the leadership, that the leadership doesn't have to facilitate. They can participate. When I mean leaders, like, the EDs, the executive level, they can participate with the team together. And that's what I love, I think, about this too, is we get to come in and provide the experience, and facilitate it so they don't have to. So I'm really excited about what the Lord is doing with this. It's a lot of work, especially this one, because, all of the logistics and everything is falling on us. And we're just getting started, man. So, but I love, it's in these moments where, I don't know about you, but God is just so faithful. He just always provides. So even though it's difficult, it's worth every second of it, to do this for the people that we love and that we support, and we believe in the fight. And
that's right.
Lord, send me, I'll go. That's kind of what my motto right now. If nobody else is doing it, we'll do it. So.
Heck yeah. So you want to get into the details of the retreat. So people will come in on the night of February 5th, correct?
Yep.
Evening of February 5th.
Yep. They come in on the evening to register. There's a few different hotel options. I think we've got connection with about 4, and they're all right downtown Chattanooga. Everything's within walking distance. The riverboat will actually be our first night. It's literally like, I think it's like 0.2 miles from the hotel cluster to walk. So it's walking distance. So that'll be it for the evening. I mean, literally, because we want this retreat to be very fluid. One of our leaders says liquid. Either one, whatever you like to use, but very fluid and not jam packed. That's not restful, to just get overloaded. And there'll be moments of heaviness, but then there'll be tons of moments of like just self-reflection. And, if your rest is sitting in the bedroom sleeping, or if you want to go, your rest is exploring, we're giving you space to have that freedom to do that. But then, but that's the first night. And then day 2, it's actually at a church. That one's about 10 minutes from where we are. And we're working with getting like shuttle, accommodations, actually working with churches in the area that would be willing to partner with us in that way. And a lot of people are going to have their own transportation, but, just if that's something that people are worried about, we will be providing transportation. But that beautiful church called Restoration Southside, it was an old wedding venue that they've converted. So, we're going to be set up over there, and we'll actually we'll do breakfast, 2 sessions. So release and release and restore will be 1 and 2. Then we'll do lunch, and then the third session, renew, will be on the back end. We'll be done by 3:00 in the afternoon, and then you literally have the rest of the afternoon and evening free to enjoy the food scene and explore Chattanooga. We're actually giving, as people here in a couple weeks, we'll send out a trip advisory, or I know Yelp or whatever, like the different platforms, just to give ideas for people to do stuff. We've even had some people that are teaming up, which is beautiful, kind of grouping up to go do some activities maybe that evening. And then, like I said, the last day, so that's Friday, the 6th, and then the 7th, it'll be the morning. We're done by noon, but from 10 to 12, we'll be meeting at the aquarium and having our last session there. We call and reflect. So we'll reflect on all that God did, and, share some victories, celebrate. We're actually going to be doing like a panel session, that last one, with all of us there. And then, like I said, everybody in attendance will get a ticket to the aquarium. So if they choose to stay and you want to stay, you get in. That's part of the package. And it's a really cool aquarium. So yeah, and it's open till 5.
And what is the cost?
The cost is $375
okay,
to attend.
$375 includes the riverboat. It includes the aquarium.
Yeah, in the session, the day 2 session, and then so it's $375 plus travel. So,
Gotcha.
got to handle the hotel costs. And then, of course, if you fly, drive, what you got there is to get there. But,
I love that you are not trying to pack way too much into, a limited amount of time. It made me think of, me growing up. Like, we didn't have a lot of money. My dad had 2 weeks vacation. So when we went on vacation, like, there was an itinerary and we did it all, And so when I planned our honeymoon with Michelle, who didn't grow up like that, she grew up, going to the beach and laying on the beach for a week. And so when I planned our honeymoon, I planned out every single day. We went to Cancun, and like there was an activity or more every single day. Like, I had it all planned out on paper. Like, I was ready.
Right.
And it took a year before somebody told me, "Hey, I think you have a problem relaxing." And I was like, you know what? Like, I have a problem relaxing.
You need this retreat.
I still struggle, but I have learned the joy of not doing that, right? Of not trying to plan out 7 full days of. It gets crazy when I sit back now and look at it, but that's just how I was raised, and that was how you get the most out of the. Like, we have 1 week, and we're gonna do it.
Well, and again, it's creating space, man. That was really the heart. It's just, I think, as we're just in the grind, right? I read it earlier, that we're not called to hustle for God. We do hustle. That's what we do, but it's one of the big things. I guess I'm going to give something away here, but one of the big, goals for this is it's not our job to fix everybody, to fix ourselves or fix the clients that walk through our doors, men or women, right? Women or men. It's our job to point them to the master potter that does the fixing and the healing. And I think there's a magic that happens, right? There's a release that when you realize that it's not my job to carry that burden and to carry that weight, when I can point them to the person that can carry it for them. And if I had to give one message and kind of a goal behind what we're trying to do, it's for people to release that weight, and I'm not giving more away than that, because there's a lot of practical things. There's a lot of hands-on. There's a lot of, it's not just sitting and listening to people talk. Also giving that space to where, you have 4 facilitators for this retreat that we're going to make ourselves available for anybody that needs it over this 48 hours, essentially. Some may stay a little longer. We'll be there in the evening also for the ones that stay an extra day, I guess, before they go home. But, we as a team have decided, like, look, we're going to be there and be available, for people, just whatever it is, whether it's spiritual, emotional, or just practical training type stuff that they're struggling with stuff, So that's another part of it that probably need to promote a little more, but that's just organic. It's just going to happen, just doing life with each other,
Yeah. And, and it's really cool that it's, I'm going to phrase it the way that I took that in, but it's really cool that you're recognizing that on a day-to-day basis, the directors and staff of the pregnancy centers, if we look at it as the people that come in are heroes of their own life, right? And the people working in the pregnancy centers are their guides. Like, we're guiding those heroes, and I think about everything in terms of stories, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's The Hobbit or Star Wars or really if you think of any good story, you've got the hero, you've got the problem, you've got the guide, right? So we've got the hero of their own story is the young mom and dad who come into the pregnancy center. The problem is they've got an unexpected pregnancy. They don't know what to do. The guide is the director and staff of the pregnancy centers who guide them with a plan so that they can reach a resolution. And in this instance, we're allowing the executive directors and directing staff of the pregnancy centers to be the hero, and to come to you with their burdens, and for you and Andrew and Denisha and Lauren,
right, to
be the guide, to help give them a plan, so that they can get to the other end of their problem. And so it's just a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, if you think about it, I hear it all the time in pregnancy centers. I don't know if you've heard this, but they even some of them, their motto is "We see you."
Yeah.
To the moms and the dads, right, that come in, but we get to say, no, hold up, we see you too.
Yeah.
And who's seeing them? And that I love that. I've said that before, but I probably need to do a better job of articulating that. But that's why we call it that, because we see you, and not because we see you, we love you, and we want you to be supported and loved on. And that's what this is about. We're creating this experience for you to come and rest. And let's not overcomplicate it. Let's create space for that to happen. But yeah, we're going to pour into you too. But it's not going to be like drinking water from a fire hose. You know what I'm saying? Like you get to come and sip, or
like the pro-life conferences.
Exactly.
The
which I love.
I do too. They're needed. Be ready.
They're needed, but this is not that. It's different.
Right.
So yeah, brother. And, I think the two biggest needs, we need people to register and sign up, like, come, we created this for you. There's still time. There's still time. We still have room. Like I said, we got 27 signed up, I think, right now, and we can hold 100, but if we get 50, that's amazing. That's kind of what we're, that's our first target, I guess, would be to get the first 50. And then we need support, man. We need, like any beautiful nonprofit, you need financial support. So, if there's anybody on here, man, listening that just, feels led and sees the mission and calls for it, just reach out to us, let us know. We'd love to let you know how you can do that.
That's awesome. Serving the servants. And I'll put Steventhen's email address in the description, on the YouTube page, so that you can find it and email him if you have any questions, or if if you're in a position to say, hey, I want to support this. I can see that these are guys that are serving the servants, and I want to help them with that. Then you can do that as well. Steventhen, is there anything else that you want to add before we close out?
I just want to say thank you, brother. I love you. I appreciate your friendship. I love what you're doing, and just pray for you every day. And I just thank you for the opportunity to share. Really, this is God's platform, God's ministry, and we just want to honor Him with it. So,
amen.
God bless you.
I feel the same way about you. You know that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be able to share this, because I think that it's something that is tremendously needed among the pregnancy care workers.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, you have a good weekend. This will come out on January 13th, Tuesday, January 13th, for everyone to see it. And this is the We See You retreats. The link to the retreats will also be in the description. And the dates of that are February 5th, 6th, and 7th in Chattanooga, Tennessee. All right. Have a good weekend.